Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stoke Seeds. Indoor seed starting is fun, easy, and economical. Now's the time to start your seeds. If you're looking to grow vegetable variety or add a punch of color to your flower garden, review the Stoke Seeds Starting Guide online. You'll find information about soil preparation, moisture, temperature, light, transplanting, and more. The Stoke Seeds website is a complete resource center you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Get growing with Stokes. Now, today's question.
Good morning, Dan.
Dick with you again. When Mark was talking about when it dries out to get out there and do some trimming back, I generally do my spirea and ornamental grasses cutting down, this time of year when it dries out, of course, and then I follow up with the fertilizer. In the past, I've done the triple 12 and also the water-soluble fertilizers on the spirea and the ornamental grasses. And I was just wondering, is there one better than the other for the springtime?
Dan, I'm in favor of timed release. Let's just start there, because we are not growing corn. We don't have to have a hit in the third day after a rain so that the little kernels, or not kernels, but little seedlings come on up and so on. So, in the home site, even though it is generally a little bit more expensive because of the processes, I still do like the water-soluble types, and then most especially things that will be laying there effectively dormant based on the size of the little holes in the prill, as it is called. As water is absorbed in, fertilizer is kicked out. And as you probably are well aware, there are 30, 60, 90, and 120-day types of release. Now, do I know a better one? No, I've not done any experiments per se. I simply am in favor of the slow release. Things like the spirea are going to almost grow in spite of us. However, to make that plant show its maximum size, shape, condition, density, and then, of course, flower, I am in favor of fertilizing. But I don't want to push things like spirea and potentilla and so on to make them run more tall and leggy than they would naturally do so. So I'm in favor of the type of thing you're using. Now, at the same time, if you have a very large area and large areas of bed, and the cost of slow release can get exorbitant by amount of use, I would say there's nothing wrong with the triple 12s, but I would be inclined to go with caution. Put on, I'll call it half of the application along about now, and then the other half, late May, so that you get in before the hotter season, and give the plants a run at 2 fertilizations, one overlapping the other, hopefully, without too much buildup, so that you can go either way. But I'm very big on what you have talked about: spirea, ornamental grasses, Rosa Sharon, and I can't think of the others right now, but all of those that flower on new tissue growing each spring on up, then setting the flower bed, you're doing it right. And right now, through the next, I'll say 2 weeks, in general time, is an ideal time to be doing that. So either way, both, and then it's kind of a matter of looking at the expense of it. If your area is not so big, I would stay with the Osmocote types of things. And if not, go with the triple 12. Now then, as to the water solubles per se, high in numbers, but they get very diluted into the water. I'm also in favor of those if, and most especially, if I have a plant that's running, I'm going to call it puny, in color or growth or aging out or whatever, I don't hesitate to use water solubles on I'll call it the permanent plants. And then when you come to baskets and boxes and containers and so on, I'm real big on the water-soluble types, because I want to keep fertilizer moving through that soil over the course of the whole year. And a water-soluble, once it is solubilized, moves on through almost with each watering. Now, it doesn't go away at the end of one watering, but I would say that at least once a month, if you really want to hype a container, a flower box, and so on. As a matter of fact, Dan, since we've talked in the past, I was taught something by a client. I was Oh, young and smart and foolish right out of college. And I was trying to tell this lady that she needed 5 geraniums in this container. And she said, no, one's enough. And I'm like, yeah, well, we'll see. And I ended up conversing with her. She said, no. She said, I'll tell you what. Since you don't believe me, pull a 1 out of your pocket and roll it up just about the size of a cigarette, and I'm going to do the same. We'll put them both in the crotch of that tree over there. You stop back on the first day of August, and if that one plant isn't filling the container, you pick up the 2 singles. If that plant is filling that container, yours is long gone. And she won. She was using water-soluble fertilizer every 3rd watering, which meant about at least twice a week, and minimal at a time. But boy, I mean, she proved to me what one geranium can do. So does that answer all this verbiage? Does that answer your questions, Ann?
Yeah, you did a nice job this morning. So
Okay.
Thanks, and I'll talk with you guys later.
Don't hesitate. We'd love to hear your voice.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. Remember, lose the winter blues and garden indoors. Start your indoor seeding with the help of Stokes Gardening Guide, plus their online articles. For the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to stokeseeds.com. Catalogs are still available. Cultivating successful growers for generations.